Hi, my name is Tracy Ann Johnson from Math 2530, and I will be sharing with you a 4th grade math classroom observation. I observed Ms. Kimberly Mayers-LeGrier's classroom at Charles Spain Elementary Middle School on November the 15th. Mr. Eric Choi taught 27 students during this 1-hour math session. I first noticed that the content taught was similar to what we learned in Math 2530. The content I observed was whole numbers, fractions, additive identity, addition of fractions, and addition with decimals and integers, rational numbers, that is. First, Mr. Choi introduced me to the hand signals that the students use in order to show understanding, agreement, and support. The lesson started with observation of whole numbers, and he used the date. The date the student noted was 11/15/13, and she noted that number 15 was an odd number. So Mr. Choi transitioned using the number 15 on the next topic, which was factors. So the students had to show factors of 15. One student listed 5, 1, and 2. And I like the way that instead of telling the student they were wrong, he asked the other students if they agreed. And one student disagreed and said 2 is not a factor of 15, and the students had to prove their reasoning. And we also did that in Math 2530. We had to prove our answers. And so the student noted that the multiples of 2, in the multiples of 2, that 15 was not there, and also another student in the multiples of 3 that 3 was a factor of 15. And so the list ended up being 5, 1, 2, 3, and 15. So again, he transitioned using the number 15 for additive identity. And in additive identity, the students had to read the problems and solve the problems. And that was a great idea to make sure they understood the problem. Next, the subject was review of fractions. And so the students had to understand how to take a shape and make it into a fraction. And so we did this also just recently in class. And one of the students got the problem right. The next student got it right, but they weren't clear about their answer. So the teacher they just said, do the same thing. So the teacher, helped him to understand that you can't just say do the same thing. You have to give steps and instructions and make them clear. So he shaded in 3 parts of the square instead of shaded in 1 part instead of 3, and then once the student clarified, he changed it to 3 parts of the square. So the next subject, and we're getting close to the end, is the additive identity with fractions, rational numbers. We have 2/4 plus additive identity plus 1/4 plus additive identity equals. So the students had to read the problems again. And one student answered this incorrectly, and so the teacher went about it a different way. He asked who agreed, who disagreed. And one student said, I got a different answer, I disagree. So the students all told the whole class said that, okay, you know what, 3/8 is the answer, and one student had to explain that they disagreed because NAD will get mad, never add denominator. So the teacher reviewed denominator and the numerator. The last few topics were dealing with additive identity again, and fractions and decimals, addition of fractions and decimals, additive identity. And so the students were able to solve the problems, and at the end I noticed that the students were very motivated, and the hand signals really encouraged them to support one another and encouraged them to in their area of self-esteem. And I left leaving really feeling assured that the content that I observed was the same thing that we're learning in Math 2530. And so as a future teacher, that made me feel very comfortable, and I was really happy with the class. And this is the end of my session.